And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. And today, we're going to be breaking down the action from FCS Week 12. Before we get to the read, I just want to say a quick thank you. We're going to talk a little bit about the trip, some of our takeaways from going to the University of Montana. We were on boots on the ground for Montana versus Portland State, which the game itself was pretty chaotic, as one could expect in a game like that with Coach Barnum and, of course, the Montana Grizzlies. But want to say a thank you to Sean, who showed us around on Friday night. We caught up with him on Saturday. Brian, whose tailgate we got to hang out with, and then Samuel Occam, of course, the Montana Grizz legend, who we got to catch up with and say what's up to. And any other fans that we saw when we were out there, Sean, it was pretty fun. When we were in the stands, we were walking around. There were plenty of folks who pointed at us and said, "Hacks, it's the Hacks." And one guy just went, "Podcasters," which that one wasn't as creative, but it was some pretty good love from the Montana fans.
Yeah, nice people, nice stadium, unbelievable venue. I'm glad to be on the East Coast again and away from the nature and the fresh air and the clean water and rivers and just smiling
Definitely positive
faces.
we're not freezing our asses off.
Yeah, everyone that told me a dry cold wasn't bad could go take a lap because it was
awful. How
cold
it was.
It was colder than cold. But if I may briefly get BetOnline situated, and then we can maybe dive deeper in a moment. BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds for anything football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, and MMA. Big cards this weekend in the UFC. Hope you bet on them and won some money. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.
So to quickly touch on the trip before we get into these games, we're going to rip through all of the major headlines that happened. Let's start with Montana, Portland State. But takeaways from being in Missoula, I really like the area. I thought that was a tremendous, nice downtown that they had. I posted a picture of the Montana barbecue that we had, which got completely picked apart by the Louisiana followers that I have from the other show that I do. You guys were very mean that we're crapping all over the barbecue. Blake was crapping on it as well. I thought that it was very good barbecue. And also the bar scene was cool. The burger that we had in the Mo Club was a great bit. Having a small little stove behind the bar was one of the most unique things I've ever seen. Basketball court in a bar was probably one of the most unexpected things that we discovered and were told to go. Actually, we were told to go there. We were not told about the basketball court. So I did not know that was there until we walked in.
Poker game in the back of bar wasn't told that those could be happening. And I
don't think that's legal in most states.
It definitely isn't. I will stake my reputation on the Mo Club Burger. If you are an FCS fan and want to make the journey, or a football fan and want to make the journey, I can recommend it as a college football bucket list destination to see a football game at Washington Grizzlies Stadium. The downtown was sick. I like the dive bars. They were cozy. You could get a proper drunk on and not feel bad about it. Said some bars you could just walk in with another beer from another bar.
Well, that was very unexpected because I was like, "Oh, you're gonna finish that?" And you're like, "No, I'm just gonna take it with me."
Yeah, I'm like, "Are we good?" He's like, "Yeah." Are you kidding me? I'm like, "No, I'm not really kidding you. This is super not allowed anywhere in New Jersey or Virginia or DC or Rhode Island or anywhere else I've ever drank." So it is unique. It is fun. Good vibes at every spot. It's good. It's just good stuff. If you want to watch a high school football game in November that has 6 inches of snow on the ground, you can do that.
That's going to be on a TV in a bar, which is something I also have never seen.
It was unique. It was exciting. I'm living the wrong life. I think that you go to these places and then you resonate more with even though they're cornballs, the people that say, "What am I doing? I should be fishing I should be a seasonal fisherman in Alaska and just be alone by myself in the wild."
See, I can move out there if I wanted to because I work fully remote. And I mean, I had plenty of times.
Go do it, big man.
For the very brief stint we were there, it crossed my mind a number of times. This would be a really cool place to live.
Yeah, I
get it. I completely get it.
I'm not sure if your ADHD would let you sit somewhere that's so quiet and at that pace.
That's a good point. It's a good point.
And it's not for like they have a lack of screens, but it's just still not enough screens in public. I know you like that the charging ports for the electric cars on our street have advertising screens rolling up and down them just so there's some in the wild.
Yeah, no, I'll go there and I'll build those. That's what I'll corporatize Missoula, Montana. No, I'm obviously not going to do that. The game was great though. Yacht started the first half, did not play great. It was a really, really sloppy, underperforming first half, and we heard plenty from Montana fans throughout the stadium that were just confused. And a lot of people in the national landscape have been confused by Ayat starting, despite the offense clearly when he's in not being as explosive as when Fife steps in. Well, Fife steps in the second half, and boom, suddenly they marched down the field and they scored. And suddenly they put up points in bunches, 28-17, final score of this game. The power went out at one point that, we've got local sites that cover Montana that were live streaming it from their phones so people could tap in and watch. They were doing the call, I think, from the broadcaster's cell phone or something like that. Like they called in to do it or something along those lines.
I thought they were just yelling out of the press box.
Oh, that also
the stadium
probably would have worked.
Grizz fans.
It couldn't have been it could not have been more ridiculous for when we showed up, and it played up to those hilarious expectations, of course, with Coach Barnum, who's one of the most rambunctious coaches in FCS. My main takeaway from this, Fife has to start. I know that there was a little bit of speculation with the whole little blow-up that he got into with Hawk.
Hawk.
I was going to say there, I mixed myself up there for a second. The fight that he got into with Hawk, and then they reconciled a little bit later. Fife is the reason why your offense has been productive. Ayat, young player, good athlete who should come in short yardage situations. Eventually he'll take over and he'll be the full-time starter. But Fife is your best chance at winning playoff games.
I will note that the Ayat pick, as I go through these, the lines for both quarterbacks briefly, it was not all on him, tipped up by his own receiver, but the throw was the incorrect choice. It was in double coverage, picked off. But he was 7 for 13, 50 yards and a half. And then I know Fife got a drive before halftime where I think he just took a sack. They ran out the clock. But then second half, 9 for 11, 197 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was just apparent. It was evident. Fife is the hot hand. Fife gets the offense moving from 25-yard line to 25-yard line. And Ayat, I think, and I gave you credit all weekend, and it pained me, but you brought it up before I did. He should be brought in 15 yards and in, 10 yards and in. Become a threat. I don't care. You can get super creative with this offense.
We see this all the time. Penn State's one of the teams that's doing it right now to a high degree of success. Bring both guys in and run the read option with them.
Yeah.
Or you bring them in motion. You motion Fife out to the sideline. You bring in Ayat. You have an ability to be creative. And for some reason, it feels like Montana's decision-making is so old school with who they're supposed to go with. And I almost felt like they weren't even going to turn to Fife if it wasn't for them sputtering so much on offense. It was a tale of two completely different teams. The stadium, the energy of this, just the stadium itself and the team on the field felt like it was completely different when Fife was in.
I mean, I wasn't eating burnt end hot dogs when Ayat was in, and then when Fife was in, I was eating burnt end hot dogs. So maybe that's the key factor. But yeah,
you also were in the beer garden when the first touchdown was.
I thought that was the one that got called back at the start of the second half. I don't know. I was watching the ants climb the M mountain, and it just amused me all day. How high up it actually got. The perspective of that place is crazy. It was an unbelievable scene. I mean, Montana when they were rolling, they looked good. I will give them that. They are a team that if they do figure it out and they do get out of their own way, I think I would back as being, even if they drop another one, if they lose to Montana State, I won't be opposed to them being like a 4-loss Montana team in the playoffs.
They're going to get in.
It's a different Montana teams, and especially because the SoCon had such a tragic week.
I think that the rest of these conferences, like you just brought up, have boxed themselves out enough that they're not going to have much representation. It's going to be a heavy, and actually, I don't even think it's going to be that heavy of a Missouri Valley
they might have 4,
because the Missouri Valley at the top, North Dakota State lock, South Dakota State lock, Missouri State can't get in, I don't think. South Dakota, we believe, will get in, and then Illinois State. That's only four teams, which is typically in that ballpark, but that feels low for how good that we know that the Missouri Valley Football Conference is. And then the CAA is in a really tricky spot, and they've mixed up their own situation where it really should just be Richmond. I don't think Delaware goes because, again, the confusion with the eligibility. I don't believe that they are. It seems like it's going to be Richmond, Rhode Island, Villanova, and Stony Brook. I don't think William & Mary goes. I don't know what the deal is with UNH, who just beat Stony Brook, which we're going to get to in a second. The Big Sky seemingly is going to have the most representatives, and they have some head-to-heads that I think are going to help them. They would be the 4th Big Sky team most likely, and I don't think that Northern Arizona gets in. So if there's going to be 4 from all of those conferences, there's no reason why there should not be 4 from the Big Sky, and Montana ends up being that last one.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe the offense is good. The defense needs to put 4 men on the line of scrimmage. That was evidence that I saw watching.
Montana has the. Sorry to mean to cut you off. I was trying to check this. Montana has the head-to-head against Northern Arizona. So if they theoretically lose this week and Northern Arizona wins their game, this upcoming matchup against Eastern Washington, Montana would have that advantage over them.
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't defend, not defend, but I wouldn't take umbrage like I have in the past with Montana being a 4-loss team in the playoffs. They have the potential. They have the talent on offense. The defense needs to flow better sideline to sideline.
All right, let's get to these other games here, as it was, of course, another FCS bloodbath. Ferman beats ETSU 24-21. Geno English had 3 interceptions. Ferman outgained ETSU 425-282. This is a game where, if you asked me at the beginning of the season, what would I have expected the outcome of this game to be? I would have said, Ferman probably beat ETSU and outgained them by almost 200 yards. But because of the way that both these teams have played on 2 completely different trajectories, ETSU, your playoff chances, they go bye-bye, and Ferman, I guess, gets a nice way to finish off the season.
You can't drop this one if you're ETSU. No. You let Ferman spoil you. And you had a legitimate shot. It was all going good, and then you cannibalized, and you fell. You can't do it. You can't have Geno English throw 3 picks. You can't have the very good running back Bryson Irby only go for 38 yards. Maybe Ferman just wanted it more, but this is a late season drop that may haunt ETSU for the offseason. It will.
Now to play into the messy top of the CAA, Villanova lost to Monmouth, Sean's favorite team. He's a Southern Jersey guy. He was featured on the Jersey Shore. 40-33 is the final score here. Derek Robertson, 358 yards, 3 touchdowns. Stone Ento had 3 touchdowns himself. The way that this thing ended up playing out, Ento had a touchdown run that gave them a 40-25 lead. And then they had with 6 minutes to go, they ran down the clock on an 11-play, 73-yard drive after Villanova was able to score and get it within 7 points. Monmouth, just the points that they were able to put up in abundance. And one should question if Villanova has the defensive chops to put out a competitive performance in the playoffs.
I love being vindicated for my Monmouth takes, but Villanova has been on fraud watch since the Towson game, and they have been skating by.
Vindicated seems a little generous.
Oh no, I have for you bring it up every single time that Monmouth is brought up. That Sean thinks that Monmouth has an insane elite offense that is a juggernaut.
Hold on. No. But I'm mostly crapping on how you were trying to make it seem like Monmouth was an upper tier CAA team. Would you agree that you would thought that?
They're in the top half. I could see myself.
Where do you think
that
they are in the standings at the current moment?
You know what? The way that you're throwing that question out, it doesn't sound like they're very high up, but I'm maybe 6, maybe 7.
They're 10th in the
That
standings.
can't be possible.
They're 10th in the standings. See, this is why you can't say you're vindicated. It's a good win. It's just there's no vindication here.
Screw
Sorry,
you.
I'm being an ass.
Then martyr me.
All right, well, what else are you going to say there?
Yeah, Villanova really needs to figure out who they are. And that's crazy to say this late in the season, but are you a team that puts up a lot of points and gives up a lot of points? Or are you a team that doesn't score a lot of points and doesn't give up a lot of points? We've seen losses in both fashion this year. And they need to just put up points and not let other teams score. I know that sounds as remedial as I can make it, but goodness gracious, they cannot find their footing in the back half of this season.
In the Timu version of the marker game, South Dakota wins 42 to 36 over North Dakota. This game was a lot more lopsided than people realize. Bauman had 3 touchdowns. Thies and Pierre Jr. each had over 100 yards. Pierre Jr. going for 173. Pierre had a 76-yard rushing touchdown that stretched the lead to 3 scores with 9:35 remaining. And then North Dakota stormed back, had a 7-yard touchdown run from Romfo, converted the 2-point conversion with 23 seconds to go. So they were within 6 points, but South Dakota recovered the onside kick, and that is how we got the final result.
Yeah, a nice little final death rattle from North Dakota, but South Dakota, that's good. 42 points on arrival. I like it. I like seeing Pierre Jr. and Thies have big games. And you know what? South Dakota, we haven't talked about them a ton this year. They've just been they've just kind of been winning quietly, which is fine. And I've had them in the top 5 forever. And if you're winning quietly in the top 5 and you're not Montana State, North Dakota State, or South Dakota State this year, you're probably not going to get talked about a ton. But they probably deserved a little more recognition. They're a very good team, and if they show up like this, then I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs.
Our Rhode Rams were on upset watch against Albany, 20-17. They were able to pull it out. Hunter Helms is filling in for Devin Farrell, and he played like absolute shit. 13 for 26, 248, and 2 interceptions. Not a great job by him against one of the worst teams in the CAA. URI, though, was able to score 20 unanswered points in the second half. Albany tried to get back into this game in the final sequences as they had a short field after Rhode gave up a 23-yard punt return to place the ball at the Rhode Island 24. They got a 3rd down and 18 situation, and then eventually blocked a field goal to win them the football game.
Yeah, got that notification at halftime. Oh, what is this? What's the score already? Oh, 17-0 Albany. That is unfortunate. Good for Rhode Island again this year. I'm gonna praise them. Some Rhode Island teams that we were a part of would have not crawled back and scored 20 unanswered and not let up a second half score.
We had quarterbacks who would have thrown those 2 interceptions and then would have followed it up with 4 more interceptions. Yeah.
So good for Rhode for making some adjustments. They ran the ball more in the second half. I know they're using the Wildcats in the red zone. It's really not great that Farrell went down right before the playoff time. But if they can figure out a way to get Helms comfortable before it starts, they still have the bones of a really good team. But I am not going to lie to you and say I am holding the same amount of confidence in the program that I was 2 weeks ago. Regardless, it's a good win. Way to win a game you needed to win by any means necessary.
What conference is Chattanooga in?
They're in SoCon.
SoCon, these nuts. Samford beats Chattanooga 36-13.
I don't have time.
Sit down. What do you mean you don't have time for it? You just took a 4-hour nap.
You can't hit me with the SoCon, these nuts.
I've been waiting for that all year. What do you mean, plenty of time? You just took a nap. All right, fun. 36-13.
Screw you. It was leave when it's dark, get back when it's dark type day. God,
36-13 was the final score. Chattanooga not playing well to finish the year as they're, I think, boxed out now of the SoCon. Yeah, there was no chance for them to win it. Oh no, there was a slight chance, but they're 5-3 in conference. They're 6-5 on the year. They're not going to the playoff. They're not in position to do it. There was a lot of big special teams plays throughout this game. Could see Critterton, 340 yards. And then a very fun fact that I discovered when I was doing my notes for this, Samford has one of the coolest kicker names in the country, Wilson Beaverstock. Top that one.
Yeah, that's solid. Chattanooga, you blew it. You blew it, man. This is the SoCon. Just crumbling at the end. You can't let Samford spoil you. You can't let Quincy Crittenden throw for 340 yards on you. That is unacceptable. Look, I've struggled with that name every single time that Samford has been relevant, so I'm not knocking you for that.
I can't believe I got you with that. I've been waiting to do that, for weeks.
You knew I was vulnerable when I walked in here tonight. You just knew.
I don't think if you were on your toes, you would have been ready for that.
Nope. Regardless, Chattanooga, part of the entire big mess of the SoCon this week, where no one wanted to win it. No one wanted to clear it. And I got Heath starting a 12-plus tweet Twitter thread today.
Yeah, it's the middle of a workday, Heath. I love you, man. But I couldn't keep up. I was just like, what are we doing?
Why did Jamie respond 3 times?
Yeah.
You guys are just chopping it up on the TL. But I'm not going to mute you. That seems rude.
No, I'm not going to do that. Sadly, I don't think Western Carolina gets in. I think some of these other conferences, to their benefit, though, Western Carolina has played probably one of the harder schedules out of a non-major conference of the Big Sky, Missouri Valley, and the CAA. And I'm not saying the SoCon's not a major conference, but like they went out of their way to play against Montana, and they played them relatively close. So that's going to be something that that you would be hoping helps make their case. This is a very quick one. I don't think this requires much of a recap. EWU dropped 77 on Idaho State. The Potato State just didn't even bother to try. One of the most pathetic performances of the year, 478 yards and 10 touchdowns. Like, what do we pack it in? Pack it in.
Not only that was them on the ground, Joseph. They ran all.
Ran for
EWU deciding to do a Montana State impression. That is a nutso game. Idaho State has been feisty this year, but I guess EWU is trying to find a new identity for 2025.
Abilene Christian won the Grimace Conference National Championship. 35-21 over Tarleton. This game was super competitive. It was a bit back and forth. Corbin Poston had a 25-yard field goal with a minute 46 to play to give Tarleton a 31-28 lead, but not so fast, my friends. Maverick MacGyver, the man with a plan, 8 for 11 on his passes on the final drive, 75-yard game winner. And they are able to win the ball game, 35-31.
Yeah, I think Abilene Christian is really asserting themselves as the top of the faux Grimace Conference this year. Tarleton, it was a good fight. They've
won the UAC, by the way.
Yeah, they had the best offense. Maverick MacGyver has been insane all year, 391 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's had receivers been able to catch the ball. Blaine Taylor went for 10 catches, 168. And then, as I noted, their running attack has also been very good. Sam Hicks popped off on your goofy asses, 24 carries, 137, a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. They are finding their form. Did they drop a goofy one earlier? Yeah, it happens. Every team in the FCS basically has this year. So it's starting to make a little more sense as we're coming down the stretch. Who is who's actually rising? Who's legit? And Tarleton State's still on that bubble of legit and not legit. But Abilene Christian appears to be too legit to quit. They are very solid.
Was that your get back? The scoreboard's like 100, and that was Chris Paul hitting a 3 to cut the lead to 40. That by you.
That was self-sabotage. That's me lighting myself on fire in the middle of the street to protest your joke.
Montana State, last score here. Montana State beats UC Davis to cap off, or not almost cap off. They've got one more game coming up, but to bolster one of the most impressive resumes that we've seen this season among top teams in the FCS. Game started pretty strong for UC Davis as Miles Hastings marched down 95 yards on an 11-play drive to throw to Ian Simpson. and to take an early lead. However, defense took over for Montana State, as at one point they had a 20-8 lead, and then they built it up with a Julius Davis touchdown, 30-8 heading into the fourth quarter. UC Davis, however, rallied 3 touchdowns in 6 minutes of play, and then with 34 seconds remaining, he had an 11-yard touchdown pass to Chaz Davis. McKade O'Reilly had an interception, which is one of the most Irish names I've ever read in my life, on a 2-point conversion try to hold off UC Davis. Do you think that Chaz Davis committed to UC Davis on purpose, knowing that his name was C. Davis?
If my name was Sean Tarleton, I would be at Tarleton State.
Well,
so
but it's a little different, though. His name is C. Davis.
Oh, okay. So you're thinking, well, we're going to make it real.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that had to have been on purpose.
It's possible. I don't mind the thought process there. What impressed me in this one, Montana State, look, they were held for 159 yards in the ground, which for them, it's good. It's kind of like the tweet Ashton GT bottled up for 121 yards in the third quarter, and that's what we're considering bottled up to be.
Right.
But just because they put up such absurd numbers all year, but they're able to do it through the air a little bit in this game. Tommy Mellott had some good reads. They had some big plays through the air. He was 18 for 25, 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. If I wasn't lazy, I'd go back and see if that was his most pass attempts in a game this year. I believe it might be. I don't know if he's even eclipsed that 22 mark, but an adjustment and also impressive. If you had any doubts that this team couldn't do it through the air or didn't have that club in their Duffy, it looks like they did. And I'm just I'm gonna note it every week. He's been my guy. Lan Larison, another massive day, 221 yards for scrimmage, almost split down right the middle between rushing and receiving, and he had a tud. It's this UC Davis team. They're not a faller for me. They weren't a faller. They got hit pretty hard the first 3 quarters. They started getting a little bit of a lick back. And if I'm Montana State, I don't want to play UC Davis again. I want someone else to get them fresh. I think you can only catch this team fresh because if they have time to realize what their offense did to work against you, and they take that to a full 4 quarters, you may be in trouble. They're that good.
Quick shout before we get to the fat stats. Future FCS national champion Lincoln University lost 48-8 to Florida Memorial. There were a whopping 898 people in attendance.
Oh.
The location of the stadium is called Miami Gardens. I'm wondering if that's like a shopping center of some sort. That sounds like a shopping center. They were outgained on the ground, 289 yards to 87 yards rushing. They did perform better through the air. They had 89 yards passing compared to Florida Memorial's 25 yards passing. This might have been the worst football game of the year, and they still managed to lose by 40. Wait, what did my guy, the quarterback, the interception machine, what did he? Oh, he only had 1 interception. They had 3 guys throw passes in this one. So in case anybody was wondering.
I see Miami Gardens as being a
wait, let me look this up.
A retirement community. I come on down to Miami Gardens and close out your life with us. Right next to the shuffleboard court, we're going to have a college football game live for all in attendance.
It's a part of Miami, but the name of the stadium is Betty T. Ferguson Stadium.
Oh.
Hold on one second.
Tell you what, it's a retirement name.
Betty T. Ferguson Stadium.
Not many young Bettys.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever met one.
Not a lot going on here with the stadium.
It's a field.
It's a field.
You know what? It's a field.
It's a field. There's some grass.
A mini amphitheater?
It looks like it has a public gym.
Oh, there's a gym.
It's not a private gym. It is a public gym. All right, let's get the fat stats. What do you have?
This team is freaking dominating the FCS news cycle. Fat stats.
As they should.
North Carolina Central running back Jamari Taylor, 24 carries, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. He caught the ball 6 times for 78 yards. Also, quick maths, that puts him at 284 total scrimmage yards. Duquesne quarterback Darius Parantes. I can't be a homer because he was at Rhode because he does stuff like this. 27.
He also owes me $20 still.
27 for 46, 393 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of the touchdowns to John Irby, I believe, was featured on SportsCenter with a nifty one-handed snag in the end zone. Houston Christian wide receiver A.J. Wilson, he might have got some electrolytes at that CVS pregame. He went off. 4 catches, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. Elon running back Rushawn Baker, 27 carries, 156 yards, 3 touchdowns. SEMO quarterback Paxton DeLaurent, 25 for 40, 375 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, 1 rush touchdown. San Diego quarterback Grant Sargent, 20 for 28, 311 yards.
Surgeon?
Maybe. 311 yards, 6 touchdowns. To close it out, Idaho wide receiver Mark Hamper, 8 catches, 187 yards, 3 touchdowns.
He was holding on to all that laundry.
He took the dirty laundry to the cleaners in that one. Oh.
Just somebody let us commentate a game, please. Anybody, please. We would be such a good commentary team. If we own the rights to the Grimace Conference, we could commentate every single game. I'm going to take AJ Wilson. I mean, that's a ridiculous yards per reception clip.
I am going with Grant Sargent from San Diego.
I'll pick Darius when he pays me back the $20.
Okay, gotcha. So we are going to be both cracking bad jokes in the booth and commenting the players that do owe us money. That's great.
And then shouting down from the booth, hey!
Welcome to NEC game day. The quarterback owes me a stiff 20. Give it to me. Run him up the stairs.
At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. We'll talk to you folks later. Enjoy the rest of your week.